Hey everyone, Pupsker here, and today in Warframe I wanted to go over the Latron Prime Latron Incarnon weapon, and you know, the Incarnon will also work for base Latron, so keep that in mind. Overall, it's a really strong weapon that once it goes Incarnon form, it becomes a bouncing heat weapon. So base attack, it's a really cool like rifle that does a lot of damage, as you can see. Then my companion just spreads more damage. Once Incarnon form, it bounces and does insane amounts of damage. So you can see the projectiles flying everywhere, and yeah, only a couple of the people actually ended up surviving, so that's what Incarnon form does. No shock, it's not a beam weapon, but it functionally works very similarly to a beam weapon. You can see I'm not even gonna like shoot at them fully, and a lot of them just get nuked out of orbit, or my companion ends up killing them. So it's a good weapon, and I would recommend everyone get it. It is available for the next couple of days for the weekly Warframe Incarnon farm on the circuit. If you've unlocked Warframe Steel Path, Warframe 1999, you know, if you have like that type, or Warframe Duviri, if you have that sort of stuff unlocked. So let's take a look at, first off, the actual Incarnon form for the Latron, then we'll look at mods and everything. So you can see that Evolution 1 straight up tells you, Alt Fire Transmutes, switching back, weak point hits, Incarnon. It doesn't actually, does it say it up here? Oh, it doesn't actually say that it turns it into a fire shooting bouncing weapon. Sometimes it says what it actually does there, but hey, that's what it does. If we take a look at the Evolution 2, increase base damage by only 6 for each of those, so not a ton, but on puncture status effect, plus 25 multi-shot for 8 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times. So in total, 100% multi-shot. Now, this stacks with other multi-shots, so it's not going to be like multiplied by your multi-shot mod. So if you put on 100 multi-shot, 180 multi-shot on a mod, and then you also have that on, it'll only go up to 280 because riddled target will only give you 100% at max, so keep that in mind. And this one is with sprint speed 1.2 or higher, direct damage per status type affecting the target. Also really good, it's a low tier condition overload, so really good at building like base damage. And I would recommend that if you like running fast Warframes, Volt Gauss. If you like doing that, it makes sense, but it's kind of a weird, very specific requirement, so just keep that in mind if you plan to use that. Evolution 3 is the weakest, negative 60% weapon recoil. Cool enough, but you don't really need that. You have negative 30% zoom. Yeah, you don't really need that. Or you have increased base magazine capacity. Doesn't affect Incarnon form, only affects base form. Same with recoil, because I don't think Incarnon form technically has recoil. So really just pick whatever you really feel like choosing here. I like magazine, more headshots, easier to build up Incarnon form. I think that just makes sense. Then last but not least, we have Evolution 4. I picked the obvious crit. Increase crit chance by 24%, increase base crit damage by 0.2x. Insane numbers, that's why it's always like orange and yellow critting and red critting all the time. If you choose a Warframe that actually boosts your weapons or crits, you're gonna be insane. Like Harrow mains, oh, love it, right? Plus 100% headshot damage. This one's also really good. If you're doing a headshot build, I might recommend you take that. And then lastly, remove 20% of enemies' armor per puncture status. Also really good if you want just a high damage armor shred. If you like use armor shred through other means, you probably don't need it. But since this does do a lot of, I think, puncture on the Incarnon form, it only does heater puncture. It takes away like some of the other effects, but I do think it might get base guaranteed impact when it actually, the bullet hits. It's a little weird. Either way, it hits a lot of status is what I'm trying to say. Therefore, puncture status is really easy to armor strip off the enemies. So it's really strong, but I chose to go with the crit right there. So judge it as you will. If we take a look at the Latron Prime, without any mods, the damage on it's pretty good, you can see. It goes from a 46% crit chance weapon with a 3x crit damage multiplier with 96 total damage. So the total damage is a little low, but who cares because it does so much crit, and that's without Incarnon form. Once it goes into Incarnon form, 68% crit chance, 3.6x crit multiplier, and that's with the base bullet hitting the enemies, okay, in Incarnon form. When the radial attack technically hits, has the same crit statuses, but the total damage is doubled and a bit at 146, guaranteed some heat and puncture damage right there. I have a general primary merciless build on for this, and it bumps up the damage a lot there. Maybe you want a primary, maybe you want a primary deadhead build, or maybe you just want to throw on anything else, right? Maybe primary blight, nah. But that is the current build I'm going with. The idea is pretty simple as follows. It can always be upgraded, perfected a little more, such as I just actually swapped out a couple things, so I could do that right there to give it a little bit more kick with the Stormbringer. The reason I had Prime Shred on, the reason I don't have it on now is Punch Through doesn't work with Incarnon form, so it's kind of a waste of a mod, but the Punch Through does work with base form if you maybe want to use it to build up more Incarnon form faster. So like it works, it's just not going to work maybe as well. And you could totally throw on something like Primed Cryo rounds, do a viral heat build. Never anything wrong with that. Of course, viral heat is everyone's favorite. You can always just go, right? It's just Toxin. Yeah, I could just go like that right now. And I will do this for now because I actually freed up the space. So Viral Heat, I had Corrosive on before. Absolutely will kill enemies either way. Malignant Force, Toxin, cold damage, right? Crit delay for high crit, and you have so much fire rate that like it just makes sense. Serration for some overall damage. You could also throw on Galvanized. I have Aptitude there. Not 100% necessary. Totally okay to throw that off. I feel like Galvanized Aptitude, it's okay, but it's not insane because at the end of the day, you're only getting 80% direct damage stacked up and 80% status chance. So yeah, if you totally want to swap that out with something, makes sense, go for it. You can swap it out for any of like the galvanized stuff if you want to do more damage. If you want more statuses, you want to do maybe double up on statuses, you can do that. You can totally throw Hammer Shot on as well for like a little bit of a damage boost. Elementalist or Munitions, you know, if you want to do more elemental damage, it's totally up to you. But this is the generalized build I'm running. Only really missing 2 Formas. And I don't have anything in the Exilus because I don't really think it's necessary. But if you do want something, I think anything really works. Maybe Cautious Shot. If I don't know if it even like radial on this one even staggers you, but maybe Cautious Shot. Either way, that is currently my build with the Latron Prime Incarnon. Again, if we demo it on some enemies, let's demo it on some Quick Infested here. And I'll actually take off my companion just because I don't want any added damage. I just kind of want the raw damage here of the weapon. Okay, where are your heads technically, Charger? Yeah, there we go. They're very weird enemies. Since I'm on Viral Heat now, you'll notice like it absolutely kills everything pretty easily. This is a huge room, so not the ideal place to use a bouncing weapon like this, but it will still work really well. Even against the Orokin enemies, right? Even without all my buffs, Orokin enemies still die because it just does so much raw damage. Remember, it doesn't punch through people, instead it bounces off of them, but it'll still do a lot of raw damage. 151,000 red crit, and that's without any sort of generalized boosting or higher damage, right? If we want to go all out, throw on a quick, let's say, I could do Rhino, or I could be just a shithead and use Mirage. Throw on my Sly Vulpaphyla, right? If I do all that, if I throw on Eclipse, Solar Eclipse, this sort of setup is akin to just a nuke, right? You just have to hit them once. You go like that. And then look at that. Look at it. If you want weapon shots to bounce everywhere, you use Mirage. It's absolutely beautiful. But hey, I'm not going to use Mirage. I'll throw it back to Protea, and we will go take a look in the Warframe 1999 kind of infested tech rot area to see how well the weapon works. But either way, let me know how you think the weapon's doing, if you plan to farm it up. And if you want to support the channel, you can always sub, like, check out Twitch, sub on Twitch, join the YouTube membership, or use Epic Games creator code Pupsker to support me. Either way, let's go check out Warframe 1999 Tech Rot to see how the weapon kind of performs in that area. Okay, now that we're actually in kind of a mission here, you'll see that the weapon still operates really well and does a lot of damage. But now that we're actually in an enclosed area, you kind of get to see the highest degree of performance. So I just quickly shoot it around, and you can kind of hear and see the visuals of the weapon bouncing around absolutely everywhere. It's picking up side kills, and I think the bullets last, it's either like 4 bounces or maybe like 3 seconds or so. I feel like it's more of a amount based on bounces. And I'll show you that you don't even have to really pay attention with these sort of weapons. Just wherever I'm running to, I'm just gonna auto fire. And then by the time I get to my objective, just have to try to shoot the tech rot in the head, and then you're good to go. I'll just kind of circle around here. Just to shoot. You don't even have to shoot at enemies, okay? You can just shoot at nothing and you'll be okay. Maybe don't do that on the last second, but that's okay. The weapon still is absolutely insane. You don't actually have to pay attention to hit headshots. You just need to know where enemies kind of what level they keep their head at, and then you just kind of hold your cursor there, shoot your reticle in the middle, and again, it has 0 recoil on the actual Incarnon form. So even like non-Incarnon form, there's almost no recoil, can't even notice it. So it's very, very easy to aim this sort of weapon. Not like the Latum or some other shotguns where they'd like kick every shot. No, you just have to walk around with this thing. And as long as you're good at keeping it stable and knowing where enemies' heads are, so many enemies tend to spawn when you're in Steel Path that you're gonna get headshots pretty easily. Like you're seeing, I'm essentially 0 effort headshotting. You can just shoot at the ground here once you lock Incarnon form. If you look in the map in the top left, it's killing so many of the enemies around me. And then it kind of spreads the status and the fire and everything because of my Sly Vulpaphyla. I do have Viral Heat on now, so it's going to be doing like maximum damage. But with my added companion damage and the amount of statuses being thrown out by this thing, it's a powerhouse. It's obviously not like as godly or cool as something like the Tord Incarnon, because I think that thing just has much higher base damage numbers, and it's much cooler seeing a beam just wipe a room. But I still think the Latron Incarnon, probably one of my favorite Incarnon primary weapons to just use for bouncing Betties type of scenario. Either way, everybody, that's it for this video. Let me know if you plan to grab the Latron Incarnon, if you're using it right now, if you've ever used it or anything like that. Just kind of curious, but it's definitely one of the better ones this week and one of my favorites, which is why I'm going over it today. So thank you all so much for joining me. Go check out all the other social medias. It's where I shitpost and spam random pictures and everything when I am not making videos or streaming. So thanks, everybody. Cheers.